Welcome back, guys. It is do or die for Sonny. We have watched him have 3 in a row frustrated, premature concessions where his head just doesn't seem to be in it, and he is like, F this game and done with it. And he doesn't have any more chances. It's now or never for him. His back is against the wall. He is 1 game away from elimination. It would be his worst finish in all 3 of the CALLOUS Invitational tournaments. He needs to make something happen here in order to avoid that fate, and he's got to get his mind back in the right place and make a stand right now, or he will be knocked out by a very competent opponent in Lycomedes. Here's game 2. We'll switch sides. Sonny's Sparkling Dream once again. Lyco going to lead Armaldo. Interesting. And it's going to be a Kuhn lead from Sonny. Knockoff immediately gets rid of Kuhn's lefties. And that's a real bad turn. All he's going to do is roar that and lose his lefties. Very bad start for Sonny. And I'm very surprised that Lyco didn't stay in and spike up with the Scarm. That was very disciplined not to. Perhaps he thought that a Kuhn, especially a lead Kuhn that might be offensive, is paired with Magneton, but that does not appear to be the case. He's got Surf and Roar, so that does not indicate an offensive Kuhn to me. And now Lyco feels comfortable going back to Scarm, but it's not going to stay. It's going to get roared out. Here's Dougie, which the Kuhn's not in range. It might be tempting here, but you just can't. He gets out of the way, and it actually would have worked out because Sonny went for Roar. So Sonny getting a lot of information here. He's only shown the Kuhn, he's only shown 2 moves, and he's seen 5 Pokemon for Lycomedes, but beyond scouting for information, he has not accomplished much. Granted, Lyco did not take the opportunity when he had it to get the spike down, so that might have been a missed opportunity, and as such, Sonny was not really punished for doing that either. Just some Leech Seed damage on the Kuhn, which it was recovering pretty decently from since there is no sand right now. So yeah, all in all, I think that was a fine exchange for both guys. Scarm on Scarm now. Spikes and Spikes. Neither one attempts the taunt or the immediate whirlwind or any of those shenanigans. I'd be shocked if the last poke for Lyco was Mag. Sonny's got to know that's not there. And it doesn't look like Sonny's team is the kind of team that would have a Magneton either. It looks to me, Sonny's team, like the old M-Dragon World Cup team from 2015 that he used in that infamous game against whatever the numbers are, 1996, Ito, that guy. That team went on to be very popular, and that was one of the best games of that whole World Cup. I myself have used that team. In fact, I've used it against Sonny. I know that Sonny's used it. I know that H-Clad has used it. It's gone on to have quite a bit of success in subsequent years in the tournament scene, and that is what I think he's using. If it is that team, and I'm not positive, but if it is that team, the last 2 Pokemon would be Claydol and Dugtrio. Lyco's team is... I don't know what the hell that is. He's got a Registeel and an Armaldo. I don't know what to make of that. It's some weird balanced stallish team, I guess. I mean, we know the Armaldo has knockoff, right? So he's got Spikes, and he's got a bunch of defensive Pokemon. And then, yeah, he's got the Dougie, he's got double Natural Cure. It's definitely a stall team. It's just a very weird stall team. It's a stall team without staples like Blissey, who are on pretty much every stall team other than this one. So we'll see how it plays out. Lyco's team is very, very weird. I mean, weird works sometimes. I'm not trying to hate on it, but I'm definitely skeptical. It is my belief that Pokemon like Armaldo and Registeel that are not in the meta are not in the meta for a reason, is all I'm saying. All that being said, I'm not clear who's actually winning this game. Like, on one hand, Lyco's got the spikes down and Sonny does not. On another hand, there's an Armaldo and a Registeel on one of the teams. That should be an automatic handicap, in my opinion. That should just, like, automatically mean that you're not actually doing so well in the battle. Kuhn, unsurprisingly, has rested. It seemed like that kind of Kuhn. And like I said, that's the Kuhn that it is on the team that I suspect that Sonny is running here. If it is that team, this looks like it could be a grind because it is 2 very defensive teams, and it is 2 teams that don't have sand. And I mean, really, for win conditions, if it is the team that I think it is for Sunny, then the only proper win condition between either team is the Coon. I mean, I guess it could be Calm Mind Bliss, which it used to be on that team, but that set is just so. I mean, we've seen it in the store. It's a thing, but that set is outdated, I think, and I'm skeptical that that's what Sunny would actually bring. But hey, maybe he will. We'll find out. But yeah, this is looking for sure like a slog to me. Especially when both players presumably have rapid spinners. We know that Lyco does. We don't know if Sunny does. He still has the 2 hidden pokes. But like I said, I think one of them is going to be Claydol. So yeah, between no sand, between a bunch of sturdy defensive Pokemon, between both teams having spinners, we might be in for the long haul here. What this could come down to is Dugtrio, which I think both players have. And if a Dugtrio were to sneak in at the opportune time and kill a key poke for either guy, if Dugtrio from Sunny were to kill, say, Starmie or Celebi, that would be huge. Killing the Starmie would enable Sunny to spike up and prevent Lyco from removing that. And since most of the team for Lyco, all but one Pokemon, are Spikes vulnerable, that would give him a path to victory. And then the other way around, for Lyco, if he can trap the Blissey at an opportune time, or hell, maybe he can even get the Dugtrio in on the rest turn against the Coon. If he's able to do that, then that would also shift the game pretty heavily his way. So there are paths to victory here. I don't think this is going to be one of those, 400 turns, hey, let's call it a draw kind of games, but I can see it being grindy. But I do see ways out of this for either player, even if it might take a while. It just doesn't look like either guy has enough pressure to really wear down the key Pokemon for the other person, especially because they have recovery moves. The Coon has Rest, the Bliss is Soft Boiled, and then both Starmie and Celebi on the other side have Recover. Here's Starmie getting a Recover off, and Toxic misses. That doesn't help. There is a little bit of a mind game here. Is he going to try to Rapid Spin into the Gar? He does Rapid Spin, and it's going to get off. And the punishment is going to be Toxic. So let's check out Starmie here. It has shown Surf, Rapid Spin, Recover. It has not shown the last move. It could be Thunderbolt. That would be punishing to the Scarm. We don't actually know if he has that. He's not going to show it here one way or another. It doesn't have to be Thunderbolt. It could be Ice Beam, which nothing else on his team learns. Not that anything else learns Thunderbolt either. Man, there's weird coverage for Lyco's team. I really don't think I care for it, to be honest. But I love the creativity. I love that we have an Armaldo and a Registeel, both of which I don't think we've seen so far in this tour. So, always cool to add something else to the spreadsheet, even if I, myself, am a bit skeptical about what they are. So, Starmie still hasn't shown the last move, but I mean, it doesn't even matter. If it were Thunderbolt or Ice Beam, I mean, Thunderbolt would help a little against, like, the Coon and the Scarm. But the bottom line is that the Starmie is never getting through the Blissey. So what's going to have to happen is Lyco's going to have to wear stuff down with Spikes and then set up a sequence, whether it's a trade and then the Dougie, or maybe the Dougie comes in at a perfect time. But basically, one way or another, he's going to have to find a way to get the Dougie to kill the Bliss. Otherwise, the Bliss is going to wall the Starmie and the Celebi pretty much all day. Check out Registeel here. He's only shown Thunder Wave and Seismic Toss. Coon sneaks in on the rest turn here. Dougie sneaks in on the rest turn. That could matter. No, that's a Jolly Dug. If it were Adamant, it would have enough damage to get this done. But in its current state, it simply does not. Now, I don't hate the attacks anyway for Lyco, because what he's doing is he's fishing for a crit. However, he does not find one. And he stays in and goes for it again, knowing that the Coon could go for Surf and kill him. I'd be careful here from Lyco, though, not to exhaust all my Earthquakes, because these are costing 2 a pop. It has pressure, remember, and there's only 16 Earthquake PP to begin with. Yeah, see, it doesn't seem that great anymore, because against the Coon, 16 is effectively 8, and he's already used 6 of them. Yeah, I think for sure he needs to pull back there. I might have even pulled it back earlier. That might have been a little later than I would have wanted. I don't mind trying that route once. I don't know that I love it twice. It's going to show that he has 10 earthquakes left, but he doesn't. It says he's used 6 of them, but he's actually used 12 of them. He only has 4 EQs left, which could definitely matter against the Blissey specifically later on in the battle. So we'll see if that ends up being a mistake. I don't love the decision, like I said, to go for that play twice. I don't mind it the one time. I think it's fine the one time. You fish for a crit. If you get it, it has huge upside. You lose very little by going for it. But the PP definitely could matter if this is going into the grindy territory that I think it's going into. And maybe Lyco sees it differently. Maybe Lyco thinks this won't be a marathon. It looks to me like we have a virtually inevitable marathon on our hands, and it is now confirmed that it is the team that I thought it was from Sunny. Now, granted, he could have changed or updated some of the sets. This team was originally played by M-Dragon, like I said, in 2015. That is some time ago. That is almost half a decade ago. So obviously some things have changed between now and then. And if he made some tweaks or upgrades or whatever, you can't be surprised. Like back then, for example, like I said, it was a Combine Bliss. Maybe that's not optimal today. Or the Claydol back then did not have Refresh or Boom. It had Ice Beam, which is now considered non-viable on Claydol. It's basically a meme. So I would imagine that the doll would have either Refresh or Explosion, maybe even both in today's metagame. But the core of the team and what it does, what it's good against, what it's not good against is the same. And it's not a Combine Bliss here. It's been showing S-Toss all game. So there have been some changes on the movesets. Coon comes in. It's killed 1 sleep turn at this time. Hidden power there, I think, is probably just Bug. I think the set is probably like Swords Dance, HP Bug. I showed Rock Blast as his attack as opposed to Rock Slide. And then Knockoff. It might not be Swords Dance. It could be just a random third attack, or it could be sub or something like that. Unfortunately, due to the way cartridge breeding works, this is a little bit complicated. I'm not going to get into a whole spiel about cartridge breeding, but because of the way that works, Armaldo cannot learn both knockoff and rapid spin simultaneously. He can learn either of them individually, but he can't have both at the same time, which is kind of funky. It's the same way that Skarmory cannot have both Drill Peck and Whirlwind. He can have either one, but he can't have both. So if you're going to go Whirlwind and you want an attack, you're stuck with HP Flying. And if you're going to go Drill Peck, you can't have Whirlwind, so you're stuck with Roar. Which basically doesn't matter anymore, by the way, after the Baton Pass ban, because Roar was pretty much the only disadvantage was that Mr. Mime still stops it. But that is not going to be a problem anymore. Thank God for that BP vote. So yeah, we are 82 turns in, and we still don't have a knockout here. This is definitely looking like a grind. Let's do an HP check on all these pokes. Coon at a hundo and about to wake up. Blissey healthy, Skarm at a hundo, Gengar at a hundo, Claydol healthy, and Dugtrio healthy. So nothing even close to going down for Sunny. On the other side, Armaldo pretty healthy, Skarm at a hundo, Selby at a hundo, Dougie at a hundo, Starmie at a hundo, Registeel at a hundo. So yeah, basically, in layman's terms, we are not remotely close to a knockout here. We could have ourselves a grind. Now granted, there could have been a knockout right as I said that, which would have been beautiful irony. Had the Celebi gotten the crit there, that would have killed the Coon. And right as I said we're not even close to a knockout, we could have had a knockout. But the crit did not come, and we are back to being not even close to a knockout again. I might have to speed this up a little bit. I got it on slow right now. I think we are just going to bump it up real quick to normal speed. Fast might be a little too fast, but I think you boys can handle normal because this really has been a not much going on kind of game. I'm trying to kill the dead air and entertain you guys, talking about some cool shit. Hopefully it hasn't been super boring. Once there is an actual knockout, we'll be able to talk about the path to victory that the player who is behind could potentially still have. And obviously the specifics of that depend on what it is that gets knocked out. But we will cross that bridge when we come to it. Thus far, nothing is even close to that. Starmie still has not shown its last move. Armaldo has shown Knock Off Rock Blast Hidden Power. That has also not shown his last move. Selby's last move hasn't been shown, but it's going to be Recover for sure. And then we've seen only T-Wave and S-Toss. So there is the possibility of Boom for Registeel. So that's one way to potentially break this open if he blows up on the Coon or on something important. Thus far, that has not been the case. And then, let's see, we got the full Coon set, just the standard Combine Surf Roar Rest, which has been around since antiquity. Selby has shown soft-boiled S-Toss only. Gengar hasn't shown anything, nor has Claydol. And then pretty much every Dugtrio ever, other than minor variations to EVs. Moveset-wise, basically every Dugtrio ever has the same set, so we probably already know what's going on there. Yeah, so if either team has Explosion, that's one way to break it open. The Gengar or the Doll could have Boom, which could follow up with a Dugtrio, which is good. And then the Registeel could have Boom as well, though it's a little more risky for him. He does not want to blow up into the Gengar. Neither team wants to blow up into the opposing Skarmory either, so there is definitely... If there's an obvious Boom turn, it becomes really tempting for the other guy to just switch in either Skarm or Registeel, or Armaldo, or Gengar. There's a lot of things you don't want to Boom into, is kind of the problem. Gengar being paralyzed definitely makes it worse than it otherwise could be. This could matter. Dugtrio sneaks in on Registeel here. He's killed a Sleep Turn, but I don't think he can actually... Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think he can kill the Dugtrio. So finally, on turn 115, we've got ourselves our first knockout. Oh, this is actually a huge turn. I don't know if that was a speed tie or if somehow Lyco knew that he was faster or what, but that Dougie on Dougie was massive there. And if Eden's Embrace had somehow still been faster and simply killed the other Dougie, this game would have been over. But that's not how it played out. So Sunny does not have his Dugtrio anymore. That very well could matter. I think that 1-for-1 trade favors Lycomedes. I don't know how important the Registeel was, but I could definitely still see value of the Dugtrio for Lyco. And notice that he finished off the opposing guy with Aerial Ace as opposed to Earthquake, because remember, he used so much of that Earthquake PP earlier in the battle against the Coon, which has pressure. So he's going to try to conserve that. It's still showing that he has 10, but he doesn't. He has 4, because it does not accurately keep track of pressure. So Rapid Spin and Toxic here. Starmie again gets out of the way. It has repeatedly acted. We haven't actually seen the last move. It could be Psychic or Ice Beam, but it has repeatedly acted as if the last move is definitely not Thunderbolt, because he's had a lot of good opportunities to try to hit that Skarm, and a couple of them that would have worked, and he simply has not gone for it. So it's really hard to believe that the last move for Starmie would be Thunderbolt. Like I said, it's probably Ice Beam or Psychic by the looks of it. Here comes Coon. That would have been a great Dugtrio turn there. The Hidden Power is not bad at all. I mean, it just gives him another crit opportunity. Celebi's had a couple of chances here where if he were to crit the Coon, he would get the knockout. So Lyco is giving himself chances here. Just the RNG is not cooperating. But, I mean, that's just how it goes. Like, a lot of the time, GSC games become like this too, where it just becomes a matter of looping through certain cycles, sometimes complex ones, over and over and over again, and then once every 15, 20, whatever turns, you get a 1-turn window to try to find a crit. And you just kind of keep doing that loop until something gives. A lot of the time you do eventually find the crit. Sometimes you run out of PP, sometimes your opponent makes a play, but sometimes that's the way to win. You just go through the loop over and over and over, and you fish for crits when you can, and eventually, a million turns later, sometimes you actually find one. Starmie pulls back there as well. That would have been a Psychic opportunity against the Gar, though it very well may not have killed, so I get why he switched for sure. He also can't break the Blissey, so... And the Starmie is very valuable to him as a spinner, so I could definitely see not wanting to take the risk with the Starmie. Gengar comes into Surf. That gives us a decent idea of what the damage is. Now he would die to Psychic for sure if Starmie has that. But he just goes Surf again. He refuses to show us what that last move is. Maybe it is just Ice Beam this whole time, which just does not seem exciting in this matchup. The only thing it hits is Claydol, which of course Surf would hit harder anyway. So other than fishing for a Desperation Freeze, Ice Beam has virtually zero use in this specific matchup. There is Surf from Starmie. Again, Blissey very tough to break. There's an Ice Beam on Armaldo and a Freeze. That could matter. That could be one way to break the game open. Freezes always are super beneficial to the person who gets the freeze. See if it ends up mattering here. There's Ice Beam. Does not get another freeze, but still, Armaldo... We know the Celebi doesn't have Heal Bell. We've seen the full set. Leech Seed, Psychic, HP Grass, Recover. So the Armaldo, if it's going to recover from that freeze, is going to do it on its own. Celebi or nobody else can help him. He'll have to find a time to thaw on his own. Skarm comes in against the opposing Skarm. The Spike's advantage does belong to Lyco right now, but both players do still have their spinner alive. And there is the Drill Peck, which we already knew about. He's going to bounce off Skarm, 22%, underwhelming. Here's another opportunity. The Coon has killed 0 sleep turns, and he still does not go for it. Sunny continues to scout for it, still skeptical. All right, there we go. Let's pause. That is a crucial turn. It took 157 turns, but that is very, very important. The Dugtrio gets in on a Bliss, kills it with Earthquake from 53%, which very well may matter. That might have been a damage roll, because if Earthquake doesn't kill there, maybe the Blissey kills back from that HP with Ice Beam. So that was a very important turn. It might have come down to a damage roll. But nevertheless, that result is crucial to this game. Breaking the Bliss changes things dramatically. Now the Celebi is a threat. Now the Starmie is a threat. And I think Eden is really far behind. I don't know if that play wins the game necessarily, but I think Lyco is clearly ahead after that sequence. And keep in mind that Lyco won the first game as well. So if he can find a way to close it out from here, which he should be able to do with this lead, Lyco will eliminate Eden's Embrace from this tournament, and it will be the worst finish out of all 3 editions of this tournament that Eden has had to date. We'll see if he can claw his way back into the game and avoid that, but it looks really good for Lyco after killing the Bliss with no consequence. Toxic connecting on Starmie here. Still has not shown that last move. It's got to just be Ice Beam. There's no way. Nobody in the world has the amount of discipline that Lyco would have had to have had in this game if it really, truly is Thunderbolt all along. There's just no way. He would have pulled the trigger at some point. Nobody has that much discipline. Not even Lyco, who I love to death. It's got to just be Ice Beam. There's Leech Seed. Spike's Lair number 2. Both players do still have their spinner alive. And the Spikes matters for sure. It matters more so against Lyco. At this point, for Eden, 3 of his 4 remaining pokes are just immune anyway. I mean, there's no reason not to Rapid Spin when you have it, which is what Claydol does here. The Leech Seed seems silly for Lyco there. Maybe he forgot that Rapid Spin removes Leech Seed, but it was very clear that was going to be a Rapid Spin turn, so that just felt like a missed opportunity to get him with HP Grass. I don't understand why he did that. Yeah, that was a clear mistake from Lyco. Claydol was at 50-something% on the most obvious Rapid Spin turn ever, and he went for Leech Seed as opposed to HP Grass. I can't get on board with that. That was definitely a missed opportunity. That Claydol should have more damage on it than it actually does. Armaldo here on its deathbed is going to have 1 turn here to try to thaw, unless full Paras come, which they do not. And that freeze does end up being the death of the Armaldo. So we've got ourselves in a 4-4 situation. And I have not kept track of the exact number of turns. I'd have to go back and look at some of them, such as the Charm Flash UD infamous Milotic PP stall that we had way early in the tournament. Okay, pause. I was gonna say, but this is on pace to be the longest game turn-wise of the tournament. But that was actually really crucial too. So, Drill Peck on Celebi, I mean, it would have hurt either way, no doubt about it. but he definitely would have lived. It would not have done 60%. That was a one-turn window to get a crit with a majorly high and relevant upside, and Sunny found it. And Sunny, who I thought was really behind in really bad shape after losing that Bliss, has now clawed his way back to the lead. He's actually up 4-3 now, very much in part, let's not downplay it, very much in part to what just happened. That very lucky and important critical hit might have just gotten him back into the game. So now I'm not sure who's winning anymore. The Starmie is definitely still a threat offensively, but in theory, since it doesn't have Psychic, we think, it can't actually kill Gengar. So yeah, man, Lyco is fucking this game up, I think. Alright, so we gotta pause here. This is an important turn. I don't like letting the Starmie get that damaged. So this is an important turn now, so he basically can't switch the Starmie out, because if he did, it would just die the next time it comes into the spikes. He could Surf here on the Claydol, but it won't kill, and then Starmie would die to Earthquake. He could also recover here, but Claydol might boom on him. Kind of a rock and a hard place here. I mean, if he has boom, if he has it, he has it, and there's absolutely nothing that Lyco can do if that's what Sunny is intent on doing. So I think the play here from Lyco is just to recover, because that would keep him safe from anything other than a boom or a crit. And like I said, the boom he can't stop. I mean, if Sunny's going to boom, Sunny's going to boom. And Lyco can't do anything about that. So I think it's one of those times where you just go, if he has it, he has it. And I think the play has to just be a recover from Lyco, and we'll see what Sunny does. But I don't like letting Starmie take the attack from the Gengar on the previous turn. We didn't know that it was going to be boom specifically. It did turn out to be boom, but I mean, it could have just as easily been Thunderbolt, which would have been comparable, which would have done a lot and would have left Lyco in this same position. I don't think it was necessary to do that, and I think Lyco should have switched, because I think the Starmie was arguably his most valuable Pokemon, and now it's kind of in a bad spot. That being said, if the last move, and we still don't know what it is, really truly is not Thunderbolt, which at this point it looks like it's not, then maybe the Starmie has lost some of its value, because it would need Thunderbolt to be relevant against the last two pokes of Coon and Skarmory. So let's see how it plays out. Lyco agrees with me that it's a recover, and Sunny does take the trade with the boom. So that's going to leave us in a 2-2 situation. Dugtrio steps on spikes on the way in. He goes Rock Slide here. He gets Drill Peck down, and Lyco has only Skarmory left. We're going to speed this up to fast at this point. We'll see if the Skarm is going to be good enough. It does have Hidden Power, which is HP Flying. What is the Coon at? 55%? This is actually still winnable for Lyco, believe it or not. I don't know who wins this, but it's going to take a while because Lyco's options are very limited. So like I said, I put it on fast. I think hyper fast might be a little overkill, but fast is probably the way to go. But Lyco actually can still win this, because if he kills the Coon and then it gets to a one-on-one between these two Skarms, if one of them were to start with a significant health advantage, or if one of them were to get down to struggle first, which I believe it would be Lyco who gets down to struggle first, then I believe he actually ends up winning the 1v1 unless it is Rest Skarm, which it is not for either of them. Or I guess it still could be for Lyco. It's not for Sunny. Spike's Whirlwind Hidden Power is what we have seen from Lyco. It's probably just last move Toxic. It could be Protect. Oh boy. Yeah, there's not a lot to comment on at this point. It's kind of just a matter of going through the motions and letting it play out. Like I said, the options are limited for Lyco. He just has the Skarm, but it actually is possible mathematically for Lyco to win this. Coon is going to go for Rest again, of course. Man, I want to move it over to hyper fast, but when you do that, you don't even see the animations anymore. Just all of a sudden, I wish the speed options were better on this thing. Really slow is grueling. It's like the speed of my sex life. And then slow and normal are basically the same speed. And then fast is not fast enough, and hyper fast is too fast. I don't know. I'm just being too picky, but I have often found myself frustrated with the speed of this thing. And I've had other narrators comment like, Jabba can't keep up with it when it's on normal or fast, so he puts it on slow, but slow's too slow. Can't win. Can't fucking please everybody. Let's see, where are we on sleep turns? 2 of them. That's bad. Yeah, I mean, Sunny's doing a good job of keeping the Coon alive and of managing the PP. Is he out of rests? Oh, I didn't realize that until just now. So the Coon is actually out of rest at this point. Why did he hit in power there? Doesn't Whirlwind kill it instead? I don't get the... Unless it really is rest Scarm. Oh my god. Hold up. It actually is rest Scarm for Lyco. That is an ancient set. Hold your horses here. Alright, we gotta do a PP count on this one. Let's see. So, 25 plus 12 is 37, plus 9 is 46, plus 15, 56, 61, and then 37, 42, 52, 56. Yeah, so Lyco not only has more PP, but he also has rest. So Lyco could actually win this because he can force the other Scarm down to struggle, still have rest left, and then... yeah, rest while the Scarm is struggling itself down. The question is how much will struggle be doing, and is the damage versus the recoil actually worthwhile? Is it beneficial to get down to struggle? Because if struggle's a good thing, if whoever gets to struggle first wins, then Sunny's going to win. But if the recoil is actually doing meaningful damage, then Lyco is going to win because he's just going to be able to rest while the opposing Scarm struggles itself into oblivion. So really the only thing that matters here, and I'm not going to pull it up on screen right now, but basically this all comes down to how much does the struggle do, both in terms of actual damage and in terms of recoil. Yeah, and that's the long and short of it. Maybe I should put it to hyper fast at this point. I think we're going to, because we're going to have however many turns here. PP, 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 yeah. See, they're just... spikes, 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 toxic, 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 roar, roar, roar. My cock is huge. That's not a moving Pokemon, but in case you were wondering, it is. Oh boy, I don't want to miss the actual action. Let's go back to fast for a second. Alright, we're getting there. 24 PP left. And more than that, but some of them are rest. Oh, he's actually used up some of the rests. Is he burning through rest? Oh, I guess he doesn't think the rest is valuable. Lyco is actually intentionally burning through the rest when he has other moves that he could be using instead. Yeah, he went through all of his rests there. I don't know if that's the right play. I mean, he must have calced how much the struggle is going to do. He wouldn't be doing this. Alright, so 8% on struggle. 6% now on struggle. Huh. Yeah, I don't know why it says that he has all this PP. He clearly does not, so that must have been from... yeah, so the PP count was really fucked up, because this must have been from using attacks against the Coon earlier, because it says he's got 1, 12, and 8, and he's struggling, so he clearly does not have any of that. Does Sunny have PP? Yeah, Sunny has Drill Peck and only Drill Peck, so it's coming down to Drill Peck against Struggle here. Back and forth, back and forth. It looks like Sunny has a small edge here. The Drill Peck is doing slightly more than Struggle on average, and also, importantly, Sunny's not taking recoil. I think this is going Sunny's way. Yeah, oh, there's a crit, but he takes recoil still. I think Sunny wins, and this is definitely now. I don't know what the UD Charm Flash game was, but 264 turns and counting. This is definitely the longest game, turns-wise, and probably real-time-wise as well, of the tournament up to this point. And, ironically, I don't think it's even the end of the set. I think after this whole marathon, I think we're going to Game 3. Because remember, Lyco won the first game. It looks to me like Sunny is about to win the struggling bird battle. And I believe we're going to a third game. I think Lyco needs running crits here, which stranger things have happened. Struggle, struggle. They're both struggling now, but there's just such an HP advantage for Sunny. Struggle. Struggle. This is fun to narrate. Struggle! And there is the knockout. After all that, 271 turns, and I don't even want to know how long in real time, 45 plus minutes probably. We are going to a game 3 that I hope does not go 271 turns. Alrighty, thumbs up if you managed to somehow make it to the end and bear with me on that one, and I will see you guys in the next game.